Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is our very first midweek recharge with myself, Leandre Pietres, one of the coaches of Rebuild by Grace. I am one of the coaches together with Leonie, who, we are in partnership in terms of steering this platform and just have created what we've got so far and what we're building in terms of a community where we can build and in which we can encourage and just support one another. So, welcome, 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 and thank you for joining me and for making this time. I am recording the session, so it will be available to all the community members after this call. But as I've promised in one of my posts, I would just like to cheers to a very important goal that myself and Leonie set for ourselves. We thought that we will only make, that we aimed for 50 members or more by end of May, but we happened to do it already today, which is the 20th. So this is a cheers, a virtual cheers to achieving this milestone. We are so incredibly grateful, and we appreciate everybody that we've got here that has chosen us, to support and to encourage and to educate. I think what you'll also find a lot on this platform is a lot of educating type of material. So a little bit more about me. I'm Leandre Pietres. Currently, I am a working mom. I am an HR professional, similar like Leonie. It's actually where I know her from way back when we worked together. Um, I am still in the corporate world, so I'm still within the HR space. But I am also a divorced mom, two amazing teenage boys. So about 3 years, 2.5 years now, I got divorced sadly, and I am the primary giver of my boys. It has been a life changing experience for anybody who's on this platform that is either a single mom or has gone through divorce. You would know, it takes special kind of courage to go through what we go through and to do what we do. But we do it with so much love. We do it with so much grace. And I think it's such a privilege still to have my boys. I thank the Lord for them every day. It wasn't until last year that I realized one income is probably not necessarily going to be enough. And I realized, if I was going to really be independent, if I was going to not having any resentment and live in a place of forgiveness, especially towards my ex-husband, I probably need to do something because, again, me being the primary giver, you can just imagine that most of the expenses when it comes to my children would naturally fall on me, especially when it comes to things that is important for me. So, Kim, very, very welcome. Thank you for joining me. I was just doing a cheers to more than 50 members. Um, on our platform. Myself and Leonie were aiming for 50 or more by end of May, and we are delighted to have you and all the members that we have so far, ladies and gentlemen, joining us on this journey and just making this time. Um, setting that priority for yourself to want to grow, to want to rebuild, because that's really what we call this platform is rebuild. So I was just introducing myself a little bit more, which divorced mom, and what I was just saying it was that last year I just had a rude awakening. That although I'm working, if I want to provide for my boys the way I would want to, if I want to live a life where I don't need to depend on someone. A certain time of the month, you checking in whether that maintenance is coming or is it not coming. Um, Having that feelings coming back when you have to pay for something or whatever the case may be. Then I just realized I need to do something. I need to do something different. Um, and that is actually where I met Leonie at that point in my life, which was about October, November last year, where she introduced me now to digital marketing. And this is really where this all started. We looked at this opportunity of rebuilding, not just necessarily, obviously, financially, but also just confidence, because you need to first just work on yourself, and especially when it comes to things like forgiveness and the likes. To be able to scale it up in terms of, okay, so now that I feel a bit stronger, now that I feel I probably healed a little bit more, where I have a little bit more confidence, what can I do about my circumstances? How can I change things around? So this is really at the point that I got to decide what am I going to do next, and which is why I'm on this platform and I am coaching with Leonie. So I've got two amazing boys, two teenage boys. One tests me a lot. Leonie, that a little bit more. If I think of myself and during the normal week, and why I, said to Leonie, I want to call it a recharge, is, on a Sunday or a Monday, you start off quite strong. Like, these are the things that I would want to do this week and want to achieve this week. But it's very easily to get to a Wednesday roundabout and you kind of go through a dip. Life starts happening, the normal routine starts here and there, something pops up that caught you off guard. Things not necessarily maybe going as planned. And you can, you tend to want to maybe take a dip. And this is at this moment that I thought, a session like this could be very useful to just recharge the battery a little bit again, to just encourage a little bit so that where you started on Monday or Sunday night, that you can just see it through to the weekend in terms of what you still need to do. There is still about 2 more days, weekdays left, a weekend left. All is not lost if, for example, you were derailed, for instance, a little bit. And it's really at this point where I want to come in. So, Leonie started on Monday, asking quite a few key questions. If you were able to look at the recording, if you now did not attend her session, but it really was that you're not starting from scratch, but you're starting from experience. And she nailed a few things around, what are the things that shaped you, if you look back, the things that you could learn from what happened. And it is that you need to probably start there if you want to, for us to go forward and for us to now look at, okay, so what's next? But what I also realize is that inside, without a plan, things can tend to get a little bit fuzzy very quickly. And I'm very grateful to have this time with you, because I think it's not just at this moment that I'd like to catch that thought of, okay, so I am here, and these are the things that I've learned. Um, I can possibly, take a few decisions to change things around in terms of where I find myself, but what is that gonna look like? Now, what I also realized from past experience is that sometimes we know what we need to do. And if it's in our minds and we don't tell anyone, we tend to just go on with life. And, you kind of think I'm going to get to it. Because remember now, you haven't shared it with anyone, so nobody's also holding you accountable. So tonight's session is really about asking a few questions and really thinking about them, jotting them down, and if it's possible, to even, you know, challenge yourself to share that, whether it's here or whether it is with someone in the community or a close friend, so that someone can hold you accountable to at the end of the week or whatever time frame you're possibly going to give yourself, to ask you, how is it going? You were thinking of X, Y, and Z. Were you able to get to any of them? I think I know that if you are in the DMS school community and have attended any of the sessions with Lizelle, she loves using weight loss as an example. But it is so true. If I think to myself, I'm gonna lose 5 kilos, but if I don't tell anyone, and I don't tell anyone what I'm gonna do to lose those 5 kilos, nobody's gonna hold me accountable. Nobody's gonna know if I don't make it, and then life just continues. I know, and I know inside of myself, that um, I'm not achieving it, but nobody holds me accountable. So that's a little bit about tonight's session that I just want to touch on. I just wanted to make sure, but I don't think we've got. Oh, I do see. Thank you, thank you. I see you say your signal is a bit um, bad, Kim. No worries. So I won't put you on the spot to maybe try and talk as well, but you're more than welcome to jot something down in the comments for me, just to engage. So yeah, like I said, Leonie was a little bit more on what are the things that shaped you, what are some of those things that you can think about, that you can really learn lessons from. Tonight, I want to take it a step further. You've looked at the past, and if you haven't attended a session, even for those that's listening to my recording a little bit later, maybe go back to her recording as well, because I think when we start to rebuild, it is important that we acknowledge, where we are, that we acknowledge the things that has shaped us. It's important. So do take some time to do that. But what I want to do is planning to move forward. Where am I going to from here? And I too have a few questions that I would like to ask, that maybe you can just think about. And if you have a pen and a paper, that I would like you to write down. And what I will definitely do is after this call, to post these questions to the community, and for us just to think about it for ourselves. So the very first one is about clarity. So if you're able to just acknowledge the things that have shaped you, what is the one area of your life that your experience has most prepared you for? What is the one thing that what you've been through has most prepared you for? This is quite one to really just think about. So I'd like to take a moment and just give time for that to sink in. If I think of myself, part of the midweek recharge is obviously also to share a little bit about myself, because I think when someone like me now facilitating a session like I am doing today, it's to let you know that you're not alone. It's to let you know that what you're feeling, is real, and to let you know that you are supported. So if I think of myself, with the divorce and whatnot, I think is especially if I were to ever have a life partner again, If there's probably anything that the past has taught me, is the qualities that I would appreciate in someone. For example, if I were to meet someone again, the values that I would want us to share, for example. And if I think of my boys and praying for the right life partners also for them, you know, having learned what I've learned, is really to think of those values and those attributes. I think that really did, um, yeah, it hits home. My second question is, what is the story you are still telling yourself about why you cannot move forward? And is that story true? Okay. Yes. Kim, I was just taking a moment to read your comment there. Definitely. I want to love myself first. Definitely. If ever, yeah, if it's in the cards, like I said, if it's in God's plan for my life, I do know, what I'll be looking for in the red flags and that. But very true. I'm definitely similar. A season where knowing what I want, valuing myself, and I think what you're saying there is so amazing, to just love myself first. Knowing, your worth. People would normally talk about, but just doing also the things that you love. Hey, if I think of my experience, again, a lot of sacrifices. I definitely do think I'm also in a season that I can definitely relate very well with you. Okay. So the second question, what is the story you've been telling yourself about why you cannot move forward if you feel you cannot? And is that actually true? Because sometimes we do tell ourselves a few things in our minds, but we don't necessarily always take the time to validate that information. Because sometimes, and this one is just, if I think of sometimes, parents saying things, teachers saying things, and they don't know the impact it can have on people later on, is definitely maybe some of the beliefs one need to need to challenge. Okay, I'll leave that. I have a third one. If fear was completely removed, what is the first step you would take this week towards whatever, whether it is now a weight, whether it's a business idea, whether it is, whatever that might be for you? If there was no fear, what would be the step? I must say, because I had someone today, feeling very overwhelmed, very scared. And I said to her, that's exactly where growth, that thing that you need to push sometimes. Because if you're going to feel comfortable, you're not going to grow. You're probably not going to take risks. Um, and I actually used the example to say it's only mushrooms that grows in comfort. So we are definitely not mushrooms. Yeah, so maybe just something to think about. Um, if there is a step that you can take this week, if you were not scared, if you really had the courage, what would be the very first thing that you do? Maybe it's, yeah, whatever that might be for you. And the last one, because now it's all good and well that we know, what step it is that we want to take. We addressed a little bit of that fear and that courage that we need. But if we don't commit it to someone, it may just stay a dream. So my fourth question would be, who in the community you could tell, and it could be somebody in the community, it could be someone, a close friend, who can you tell that can hold you to it? Because remember, the weight was now a very good example. I'm going to lose 5 kgs, but I'm not telling anybody whether I'm going to go to the gym, whether I'm going to cut out starch, or whatever the case may be. So who's going to know? Or if I cheat and I do eat the chocolate, who's going to know? So is there someone that you can tell, that can hold you accountable? And I, Kim, more than uh, making myself available if you would want to. And then we could possibly take that, do that for each other. So if I had to share something personal, I need to go live. I need to start going live with my business. And I have gotten the functionality on TikTok a while ago, which does not happen to everyone. Kim, I must just share this with you. I did tell Leonie, and welcome, Leonie, that I only had about 100 followers, and they opened that functionality for me, which is very rare because you need to actually have 1,000 followers on TikTok to go live. Many people say sometimes it happens by 500. I only have 100, so I can actually go live. So I need to make so my step this week, Kim, is that I need to go live. And for some reason, I'm incredibly scared. So if I were to remove fear, that is the one thing that I'm going to do this week, is to go live on TikTok, and just to share more of what we do in this space. The community is what I would like to share. And I know that there are so many moms like myself not knowing what they can do to better provide for their families, to sustain themselves, to navigate the season of having to rebuild, because that's literally this is the new normal. I actually, sometimes I say to people, you can't even say life after divorce is a season. It's climate change. It's the new normal. It's going to be different. Um, and a different, which in my case definitely comes with more peace, but also different in the sense of, certain things that I now have to do on my own that I wasn't used to doing on my own. And. So I know that if I go live on TikTok, I can reach more women in similar seasons, in similar shoes as mine, and with what I have to offer, can definitely provide support and give them hope. And when you have hope, you have so much that you can achieve. Awesome, awesome, Kim. I also appreciate you sending you a lot of love for being here tonight. So those were the four questions that I had for tonight. Is just to think of the thing that can really take you forward, making one step closer of making that goal a reality, and sharing that with someone that can actually check in a week's time. How is it going? How have you been doing? Um, so I see you posted here. Mine went to 100 yesterday. I went live today. Congratulations! You're definitely one step ahead of me. And oh, no, I think you may just feel like that because it's your first time. But remember, the more you do it, the more you're going to get comfortable. I know. Again, Leonie's been doing this for quite some time, so she's very comfortable. But you're going to get comfortable, Kim. And you and we're going to support each other with this going live thing. Um, I can imagine, that the nerves, take hold of you, and you probably, like, uh, even if I think of my, just tonight, I had now the questions written down, but I probably did not exactly do the flow as I thought I would when I prepared for tonight. But then again, Kim, if I look at going live, um, we want to speak from our hearts anyway. we want to speak from our hearts. We want them to see the real opportunity and the real us. So you will get comfortable. Both of us will, and it will just be one step at a time. And we're going to look back, um, maybe November or whenever that may be, good look back at tonight and be like, you remember that first midweek recharge session? And this is the conversation that we had, and now we are doing so well and we're so comfortable. And this is how many lives that we've done, and this is what it meant for our online business. So my encouragement to you is we're going to see it through step by step, and we're going to look back and we're going to be blown away with the amount of growth that we were able to do. Okay. So, Kim, that is from my side, and for anybody who's dialing into this recording a little bit later, this is what I wanted to share, and so grateful for what you could share here, because yeah, sometimes a lot of where we are and where we find ourselves, it can relate to someone, and someone can relate, and then we help someone just by sharing where we are in our journey, where we find ourselves. So with that, thank you too, sending you a lot of love, and grateful to have you here. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. We still, this network is going to grow. Our relationship is going to grow. And I look forward to that day when we do something face to face and we're able to connect and, yeah, just be able to just support each other even better as we get to know each other. So thank you, Kim. Wishing you a very pleasant evening, and thank you to anyone dialing in here onto this recording. Wishing you a very pleasant week ahead.